Live. Welcome back to Alkaline TV. This is Douglas Dennis, the Alkaline Life Coach. Today, I'm really excited. We're talking about my favorite book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this is a pretty beat up copy of Think and Grow Rich, but I have many different pages marked, and I'm going to go through these with you. Thank you so much for the thumbs up, whoever did that. I appreciate that. And it helps to get the channel out there to more people. So thank you so much. And let's talk about this. It says, this book could be worth $1 million to you. Wow, that's a pretty bold claim. Why would they say that? And as you can see, mine is all taped for reinforcement. I had several different copies of this. I've given away so many copies of this through the years. But I kept this one because it had all my pages marked and it has my notes in here underlined. So I know I had a better copy around that wasn't so beaten up. But let's go actually through this book and hit the major important parts of it. Just a summary, because if you haven't read this, I recommend it. It is a little bit of a difficult read, but not that bad. And I mean, so many different books have been based off of this. So many different businesses have been built using this book. So what Napoleon Hill did, if you don't know, he interviewed Andrew Carnegie, who at the time was the richest man in the world. And Andrew Carnegie, not Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill was a writer, a reporter for some magazine, eventually Success magazine. And then Andrew Carnegie challenged Napoleon Hill to write a philosophy of making money or success. And Napoleon Hill spent 25 years writing this book. He wrote other books like this, several. I have some of them on my bookshelf, but this one was finally the one that blasted off. So, and there's a little bit of a story in here about how he thought, I've heard him tell a story about how he thought of the title by following some of the manifestation or prayer techniques that we talk about on this channel. So there's also a lot of information in here about the brain. When they first started studying this about 100 years ago, this book is almost 100 years old. It's about 90 years old. So very interesting stuff that they knew about 90 years ago. A lot of people should have read this in the last 90 years. A lot of people did read it, but let's get right into it. So the things about the brain and the things about vibration in here is really interesting, and at the time must have been controversial. When they edited this book, they took out everywhere it says vibration. In one of the edits, they took it out. So that's quite interesting, and maybe you can keep that in mind while reading it. But it might take you a few times of reading it to actually understand what it's trying to say, because he doesn't come right out and say exactly the point. He talks about it a lot, and he lets you draw the conclusion from it. Hi Ingris, thanks for tuning in live. Nice to see you. So, and like I said, so many people have based books on this, and so many people have used this book to become successful. It's definitely worth a read. I've read it over 13 times because I was trying to shift from poor to rich. So how would you shift over from poor to rich? Well, I heard somewhere that the average millionaire has read Think and Grow Rich 12 times. So I read it 13 times because I'm not average. But I quit counting after that. I've still read it. I've still picked it up and read parts of it. I haven't, I don't know if I've read it cover to cover since then, but I have a lot underlined in here. And some of the spots are like broken. I had to tape them back together. But I'm going to go through my bookmarks. See, here's a little bookmark right here that I have attached to the pages and show you what I think were the most important things while I was reading this 13 times. Now, if I read it again, if I get a fresh copy with no underlining and no bookmarks, I would probably underline different things and bookmark different things since I've read it so many times. And it's actually been a little while. So I think now this is all sunk in to my subconscious mind, which was the point of reading it 13 times and not just once. I read it once, the first time I read this, about 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. Did I instantly get rich from reading it once? No. But it's been a few years and I've read it a lot and good things are happening, and I'm in the middle of closing on a business deal right now. The second one for the year. Well, the second one in the past 2 years. It hasn't really, if you think about the calendar year or just the 12 months, it's different. But anyway, I'm on my second deal for the calendar year. Well, the last 12 months. And riches could very well be on their way. I'll talk about more of that later if you stay tuned. I'm actually writing a book right now about this deal and how it's, while I'm waiting for a lot of it to come to fruition, I'm writing. So stay tuned if you want to read that. It should be done by the end of the year. I know that's a while. In internet world, that's an eternity. Okay, so let's get right into it now. I introduced the book. I talked a lot about a background on this, and I'm going to talk about page 17, which is desire. Now, the page numbers might be a little bit different depending on what book layout you have. But this is on the chapter of desire. And this says, 6 ways to turn desires into gold. Oh, fascinating, interesting. First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. Now, this doesn't have to be about money. You could do this about anything. You could do it about meeting your ideal husband or wife. You could do it about making money. You could do it about losing weight. So he's talking about turning desires into gold. But you can, if you're not interested in gold, you can still benefit from this. However, why not turn it into gold? I think you would figure it out, find a use for it. So first, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It's not sufficient to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. And he says there's a psychological reason for this. Definitely. Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. And in parentheses it says there's no such reality as something for nothing. Ooh, so many people need to hear that. So many people need to hear that. Even though I read this book a million times, that might have been what I was doing wrong when I was younger. This was like 10 years ago. So you have to decide what you're willing to give. For example, in this channel, I'm not profitable yet for this particular channel. Now it's close, but um, there's no such reality as something for nothing. When the channel started gaining in popularity finally is when I really started giving recipes for the first recipe that started taking off was spelt banana bread. And that's what people wanted. That's what people want. They needed shown how to make banana bread or something like that. And that's the information they were looking for to finally put my channel on the map. So I made like almost 10 more bread videos. So that is me sacrificing something to give in return for something later. So although the people watching are not paying me directly most of the time, now I do have one-on-one clients, but that's just, I'm not really selling that to everyone watching. That's just if you really, really need help, then you can reach out to me. There's a link in the description. But mostly for this channel, in the future, I hope for it to be monetized where I can make money just from people watching. And there's a trade-off. There's a trade-off. I've spent hundreds and thousands of dollars on this channel before it ever made money. So I'm giving something, and in the future it might make money, but it might not. And I think that's important for people to understand, is that some people start a business and they just expect to get something. They expect to just manifest without doing anything. And you're going to have to do something. It might not be physical labor, or it might not be what you expect, but it's still going to be something that you're going to have to give up. Okay, third. Now, I elaborated on that last one a lot because I think that that's a really important one, especially young people these days, which I'm one of, don't always understand that, and I know from my own personal experience. Third, he says, establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. So, when is this time limit? Set a deadline. He says this is important. Now, I've heard people argue about this, whether you need to set a deadline or not, but a lot of people have gotten a lot of good results with this book. So, and for my current business projects that are ongoing, there are deadlines for when they should be coming to fruition. Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you're ready or not, to put this plan into action. Wow, okay, here's another really good one that most people don't do. Create a definite plan. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean a business plan, because oftentimes in business plans don't end up coming true. But some kind of plan needs to be put in place, a definite plan, and begin at once, whether you're ready or not. So this is something a lot of people wait around for the perfect moment. And you know what? Sorry to break your bubble, the perfect moment never comes. We've only got this moment right now. Now is the moment. It's never going to be perfect. So start now by taking some kind of action towards the goal. The action right now could be making the definite plan. Maybe you've had this desire, but you know that you need some kind of definite plan. And you know what? your definite plan might fail. So you might have to redo this more than once. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money, and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. Ooh, okay, so now it's really starting to take form. So if you understand psychology, like I've been studying it for over a decade, so I can start to see now in these steps what is actually happening. And sixth, the final step in this particular page, read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once just before going to sleep at night, basically. I'm paraphrasing now because he uses some strange words. And once after, well, it's not that strange. So once before going to sleep and once after rising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. Wow. So there's a lot packed into those steps. In fact, I think this whole book could be just packed into those 6 steps. And he's just elaborating several times and also telling testimonials of specific people that have used this. So it's easy for people to skip little pieces of this. But I can see this in hindsight. The things that work, they work for a reason. And writing this out, most people would never do that. Planning it out, most people would never do that. And then setting a time limit and then saying what you're willing to give up or to give something in return, most people aren't willing to give anything. They're so lazy and selfish. Most people, not you, but most people that try to be successful in a shallow way, they stub their toe and then they quit in the first minute. I know because I've started more than 10 businesses and I've had partners and I've helped people start their own businesses. Back in the day, I helped many people, more than 20 people, start their own business. And a lot of people trying to become successful don't really understand what it's going to take. And they just think, oh, if they just are positive, if they just think positive or something, the stuff online is just blowing smoke up your butt to try to sell you something. And I'm not really trying to sell you anything in this video. That's why it's not like that. I'm not selling this book. I'm not selling anything. I have my own 12-week program, but it's not about this. So I'm not really selling it here. I would say if you do like it, give it a like and think about subscribing. But most of the stuff online, the reason it's wrong and full of you-know-what is because they don't want to tell you the hard reality of life. Either because they don't know or they want to make it sound easy. I don't make it sound easy. So that's the difference between me and most of the other people is that I say it's not easy, but it's worth it. And it can be very simple once you, in hindsight, but I also would say don't fool yourself that success is just going to be easy. Some people on the internet or wherever make it look easy on purpose, and For example, my story about healing. I had a story where I had a transformation with my health. And it only took 3 weeks after I suffered for years and years and years, chronically. In hindsight, it looked really easy then. Oh, 3 weeks? Oh, easy peasy, right? Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean most people are going to do it. They're not going to. And so just because something is simple doesn't make it easy. And just because something's simple doesn't mean someone's going to actually do it. So these steps are huge. And actually, I don't even know if I should go through the rest of the book, because that was so powerful right there, those 6 steps. I think I could just repeat those over and over and talk about those all day and night. And I'm glad that I picked this book back up and gave it a look. So I do pick this up every once in a while and reinforce some of the lessons that I used to. This used to be foreign to me. I didn't understand abundance. I didn't understand riches. I thought, oh, there's not enough for everyone. Or, do I deserve that? Or something like that. That is, well, he's got something to say about that. There are no limitations to the mind except those we acknowledge. So if we don't think we deserve something, then we don't, because of our mind. And I talked about faith yesterday. I didn't specifically talk about this book, although I did mention it. This is one of the good chapters in this book. Let's see what other bookmarks I have. But I've been going live multiple times a week. Okay, the next thing I have bookmarked in here is the self-confidence formula. Oh, this is another really good one. I was struggling with this in my 20s. When I was a child, I had no problem with confidence. I had tons of confidence. I was a good artist. I was confident in my art, and I was happy doing it. And I had friends. I liked to have fun. I was pretty happy. So as a child, I was pretty confident. And then school comes around and pounds you into submission and humiliates you if you're different. If you're a good artist, I got more punishment than I did reward for that. And it actually took me years to now, looking back, to realize that I should have been focusing on that more. And everything that in school taught was absolutely BS. And it's absolutely BS. And since I've graduated, I've had to actually unlearn and relearn everything in order to get a good result. So this is a good way. Think and Grow Rich is one way I relearned the self-confidence formula. This is on page 36, and it's on the chapter of faith. It says, first, and there are 5 steps. First, I know I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. Ooh, this is one thing that unsuccessful people don't do. For example, I've been going live 5 days a week. Do I get paid for that yet? No, not yet. So, continuous action, persistent continuous action. This is why my channel was never succeeding until I finally started continuously releasing cooking videos. And then it started taking off. Well, not taking off. Slowly but surely. It's a very small niche. Okay, so second, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Absolutely wow. And if you don't understand how that works, I can explain it scientifically. That would bore most people. But that's not just some kind of, ooh, wishful thinking. This is real and it is scientific. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture. Wow. And if you were watching what I was talking about yesterday in the live, I was talking about that visual image, that mental picture. Definitely. And that sounds for some people, oh yeah, just thinking about the person you intend to become for 30 minutes sounds like a waste of time. Most people would rather play video games or look on social media and look at what everyone else is doing. Stop that and instead focus inward for 30 minutes. This is powerful. I know how powerful the self-image is in getting good results out of your life. I have more books on my bookshelf just about that. So that's powerful. You know, I don't know if most people reading this through like the first, second, third time would really understand how powerful some of these things are. It's only because I've been reading this for years and I've accomplished some seemingly impossible things. And I've also had some failures that I turned around into success. So I know that this stuff does work for sure. Third, I know the principle of autosuggestion. I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to reminding myself, demanding myself, the development of self-confidence. So, yeah, the language he uses in here is almost 100 years old. So it can be a little bit, you can kind of like stumble on those words. But he's talking about autosuggestion. What that is basically self-hypnotism. It's affirmations, where you repeat something over and over, not just repeating it, but also visualizing it. This is important for your subconscious mind because, like he says, eventually it will seek expression through some practical means. So if you have some goal that you obsess about and you're constantly repeating to yourself and holding it in your mind, once it pops up in life, once an opportunity that is related to this pops up in the life, you'll be there to snatch it and recognize it. And it only happens sometimes when you really cram it in over and over. And then the opportunity will pop up and it'll be amazing. This happened to me in my recent couple business deals that I'm in the middle of. I'll talk more about this later. And I have a new Patreon where I'm releasing photos and videos behind the scenes of a new business deal I have, where I'm not sharing it with the public. It's just secret on there just for the tiny handful of people. So if you're interested in seeing that now, check that out, links in the description. But later, eventually, I will make that into a documentary. That's my plan. But that will be maybe at the end of the year or maybe early next year, something like that. But if you want to see updates on that now as or almost as they happen, then check out the Patreon. Okay, number 4. Oops, 4. I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life and will never stop trying until I have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. So by going over this list, if you haven't done these things, it's basically now's the time to do it. And number 5 is the last one in this bullet on this page. I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Ooh, this is something I talk about that's not very popular these days. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. Wow. Wow. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity. Wow! Because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. Wow, almost done, but this is powerful. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will sign my name to this formula, commit it to memory, and repeat it aloud once a day with full faith that it will gradually influence my thoughts and actions so that I will become a self-reliant and successful person. Oh man, I know that's a mouthful, but if you really wrap your mind around this, and especially now after years have gone by since I was reading this over and over and over again, I've become like this. Now I can look at this and I'm like that already. When I first was reading this book, it was awkward and not my natural way. So you might not be instantly successful from reading this. You might have to read it over and over again. It's not the reading it that's going to do it. It's the doing these key points that will get you the type of person you need to be. You have everything you need within you. You don't need anyone else, and you don't really need this book. It's just, the book is just to help save you time, to learn from other people's mistakes and successes. But you don't need this book. You could do everything in here without the book. It's just, reading this is gonna maybe help unlock it quicker in your life. But, you have whatever you need in yourself. It's not like you don't have to buy something to be the right person. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to, the hard work is internal, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of, the pop culture makes you think you have to buy something to be successful. You need a nice, new, shiny object to be successful. You need XYZ to be successful. But really, you could get this book for probably 50 cents used and a couple dollars shipping. And this could, like it says on the front, this book could be worth $1 million to you. So the idea is what's going to be worth $1 million, but you're going to have to put it into action somehow, and most people aren't willing to do stuff like that. Everyone has good ideas, but most people, they're not going to take action or do whatever it takes. Okay, so let's move on to the next bookmark in here. Okay, the next bookmark I have is the chapter on autosuggestion. Because in here, at the end of the chapter, and I have a lot of things underlined in this chapter, so it's only a couple pages long. It says at the end of the chapter, read the entire chapter aloud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of autosuggestion is sound, that it will accomplish for you all that it has been claimed for it. As you read, underscore with a pencil every sentence which impresses you favorably. Okay, so I can see I've underlined all throughout this book. And so if you don't understand autosuggestion and how powerful it is, then he says to read this chapter out loud every night until you get it, basically. And you know what? Most books don't say stuff like this. This is good because I've studied memory in psychology. I was part of the lab back in undergrad, and we studied, well, I've been part of studying animals and people. So I remember in the memory labs, like, you don't remember much of what you read. You forget a lot of it. So how he has instructions in here to repeat this out loud day after day until you get it, that is really good advice. And most people are repeating the opposite of what they want. Most people are just complaining and repeating their complaints to anyone that will listen. And then they complain to this person. And then they drive somewhere else. And then they complain to this person. And then they complain, and then they say, oh, did I tell you about this yet? And then they complain to this person. That's the opposite of what you want to do. So, and it's not hurting me. You know, it's not like some people scoff at this kind of stuff and go, oh, about it. Oh, I'm too macho to follow some book. Okay, well, good for you. Go away. You know, it's not hurting me for you to fail. So, like, some people mock this kind of stuff that, like, oh, yeah, your mind, blah. And I used to take a lot of crap at the beginning of my channel because I talked about this kind of stuff a lot. But guess what? That was 6 years ago, the start of my channel. And my life is, I mean, better and better and better. Yeah, I take a lot of action, which means a lot of failure, high failure rate. That's one way to be successful, is to multiply your failure rate. Most people never do anything because they're afraid of failing. Well, you can't ever accomplish anything if you don't go for it. So, you know, I've failed, and this channel is kind of, you know, this channel is not really that successful. So, I mean, it's not, I won't call it an all-out failure, but because I would pull the plug on it if it was. But I think it's on its way up now that I finally understand the principles of YouTube and how YouTube works. So each platform has its own. I've built brands, I've done marketing and I've built brands from 0 to hundreds of thousands of followers before. And not on YouTube, but on other social media. So YouTube for me is now, now it's starting to work now that I'm focused on it. Slowly but surely, it's starting to go somewhere. So hopefully by this summer, you'll be seeing some ads on my videos, which means I'm making a tiny bit of money. And then I'll be able to put more into the videos and upgrade my equipment. Right now I'm using a phone and the cheapest lighting equipment imaginable. Here's I almost ripped it out of the socket. But anyway, I'm thankful for my inferior equipment, and I'm thankful for my phone, even though they're not perfect. So Ingris said, thank you for all the information, because for some of us, it's a mind opener and good for the future. Awesome. That's exactly why I want to talk about this, because I know that a lot of people don't read anymore. And I think reading, no matter how bad at it you think you are, who cares? Don't be in a rush. Just take your time, and it's good for reading from a real book and not a screen is better for your eyes, and it's good for your brain. I've heard different things. Reading and writing help to prevent dementia. I've heard that somewhere. You'll have to do your own research to the exact studies. But definitely reading. Now, I'm not saying to sit around all day and read instead of taking action. What I recommend is read, take action, take action, take action. And then read, and then take more action. So it's not just about reading. Okay, let's hit on a couple more bookmarks, and then we will call it a day. All right, my next bookmark is on a page 142 in my copy. This is in the chapter on persistence. I talk about this a lot. How to develop persistence. This is another list of numbers. 1, this is a very short list, so they're very short and easy. 1, a definite purpose backed by burning desire for its fulfillment. 2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. Expressed in continuous action. Not just, I'm thinking about it. Number 3, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. Listen to this one. I'm shaking the camera for this one. I'm grabbing you and shaking you for this one. A mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. Boom. Not everyone will listen to that one, but I've been talking about it in a lot of my videos recently. Number 4, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to follow through with both plan and purpose. A friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage you to follow through. So, and for the people in my program, that's me. I'm the one that has to sometimes put my foot up your butt, so to speak, in the friendliest method possible to help, get some action into you. So wow, these are big ones, definitely. And if you listen to these, it's kind of repeating the stuff I already talked about in this book. That's why I have them marked with bookmarks. Okay, the last bookmark, Ingrid said that's a big one, number 3. Yeah, it's a big one for everyone. Everyone's dealing with this same stuff. It's very predictable, actually. Once you see how life works and how successful people and not successful people, it's very predictable. It's very predictable. The same things shine true, the same principles. Even this book is 90 years old. It's still true. Still true. Okay, so then the last bullet point before we sign off. 55 famous alibis by Old Man If. It says, as you read this list, examine yourself carefully and determine how many of these alibis, if any, are your own property. Okay. Remember, too, the philosophy presented in this book makes every one of these alibis obsolete. Okay, so as you read this list, think about if you are using any of these alibis as excuses. All right, I'm going to read through these really quick. Every one of them starts with a capital if. If I didn't have a wife and family. If I had enough pull. If I had money. If I had a good education. If I could get a good job. If I had good health. If I only had time. If times were better. If other people understood me. If conditions around me were only different. If I could live my life over again. If I did not fear what they would say. Ooh, that's a big if. If I had been given a chance. If I now had a chance. If other people didn't have it in for me. If nothing happens to stop me. If only I were younger. Okay, I'm gonna speed up. There are a lot. If I could only do what I want. If I had been born rich. If I could meet the right people. If I had the talent that some people have. If I dared assert myself. If only I had embraced past opportunities. If people didn't get on my nerves. If I didn't have to keep house and look after the children. If I could save some money. If the boss only appreciated me. If I only had somebody to help me. If my family understood me. If I lived in a big city. If I could just get started. If I were only free. If I had the personality of some people. If I were not so fat. If my talents were known. If I could just get a break. If I could only get out of debt. If I hadn't failed. If I only knew how. If everyone didn't oppose me. If I didn't have so many worries. If I could marry the right person. If people weren't so dumb. If my family weren't not so extravagant. If I were sure of myself. If luck were not against me. If I had not been born under the wrong star. If it were not true that what is to be will be. If I did not have to work so hard. If I hadn't lost my money. if I lived in a different neighborhood, if I didn't have a past, if I only had a business of my own, if other people would only listen to me. Wow. If, and this is the greatest of them all, if I had the courage to see myself as I really am, I would find out what is wrong with me and correct it. Then I might have a chance to profit by my mistakes and learn something from the experience of others. For I know that there is something wrong with me, or I would now be where I would have been if I had spent more time analyzing my weaknesses and less time building alibis to cover them. Boom! Napoleon Hill tells it like it is. Wow. And one more time on that last one. I think that deserves repeating. If, and this is the greatest of them all, if I had the courage to see myself as I really am, I would find out what is wrong with me and correct it. Then I might have a chance to profit by my mistakes and learn something from the experience of others. For I know that there is something wrong with me, or I would now be where I would have been if I had spent more time analyzing my weaknesses and less time building alibis to cover them. Wow. There you go. There's the meaning of life. He just explained it. Most people would rather have an ego trip and blame their excuses. All of those excuses from 90 years ago are still true now. People still, I've heard all of those same excuses from people. And my favorite thing of what I mentioned in this video is that a mind closed tightly against the negative influences. Where was that? Yes, page 142 in my copy. A mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. All negative and discouraging influences, including negative suggestions of relatives, friends, and acquaintances. I would say the media and social media, which didn't exist when this book was put out. But now it's all on social media. You know when the last time I was on Facebook was? It's been months since I've even looked at it, because I have a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences. You know, I know better than I now. It's not just from reading this book, it's from real life, you know, learning and applying it. So there we go. We're almost an hour into the live video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you have questions, now's a good time to ask. And if you want any other, you know, if you have any info or feedback about this book or want to know anything else about it, I've read it 13 times and more. So you can ask me. Oh, I was going to say at the very beginning of this video. I should have said this at the very beginning. I used this book to coach my first client, who is now extremely wealthy. He had his own business, and I would read this on the way to, I would consult with him 3 days a week for 3 years. And I would read this on the way there every time and back. And I would focus on our, you know, what we were about to talk about. And I touched base with him after years of not hearing from him, and he said he's extremely successful. He said basically he's filthy rich. And he said everything I predicted came true. And he said that Think and Grow Rich, he thanked me for coaching him with Think and Grow Rich. And he said it all came true. And that was from years ago. So this definitely works. If you want one-on-one coaching for business or for health, there's a link in the bottom of the description how you can get a free consultation with me. But I don't take everyone as a client. I only take people who are really, really serious about it, because I only have a small handful of clients at any one time, and because I'm really focused in on it. So, and it's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's results driven. So if you want results and you haven't been getting them, then feel free to reach out in the description. And there's a lot of info in there as well other than that. So if you have any questions, let me know now. Otherwise, I will be back live tomorrow with another video. We've been doing these Alkaline Vegan podcasts 5 days a week. This is number 14. And as long as we keep having different topics to talk about or people to interview, then we'll keep doing them. So that is about it for this one. Thank you so much for listening. And I have been on Instagram a little bit these days. I haven't really been posting, but I've been just on there snooping around, and that is one potential way you could reach out. On Instagram, I'm at Alkaline Life Coach. So let me know that. But yeah, I haven't really been posting though. If you want to see daily posting, I've been posting everything I eat on the Patreon, and the link's in the description. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will see you in the next video tomorrow. If you have not, make sure to hit the bell icon so that you'll get notified when I go live, because I've been going live several times a week, and I've been going live mostly at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's a good time I've been using mostly, and if not, then by 6 p.m. Eastern, I should be on. So we'll keep doing the Alkaline Vegan podcast as long as you keep liking it and sharing it. So let me know if you have any ideas for the next episodes, and I'll see you there live. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ingris, for commenting. I appreciate it. God bless you as well. See you in the next one. Have an amazing day on purpose. Peace.